Time out. You started DMing during the pandemic?
Yeah.
You're joking.
Over Zoom.
You're joking.
No, why?
It makes me really mad now.
Why?
Because you're good and you haven't been doing it for that long.
Hey, this video is sponsored by World Anvil. More information in the description. You built Halleck.
Yeah, Halleck Stormseeker.
You picked a Dwarven Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Taco picked a Halfling Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a half-elf Paladin from Jordy. Allie was originally going to be a half-elf Druid. And I was like, oh, wow, I hit every stereotype at one table. This is going to be incredible. And I started rethinking the world of, like, where Druids in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, oh, there's going to be a Druid involved. I need to understand what that means in the world, right?
Right.
And then, a couple weeks later, a couple weeks before the first game, Allie's like, I'm going to be an Artificer.
Yeah, and now you have to think of a whole different thing.
What drew you to Dwarven Barbarian?
I've always loved dwarves. I think that they're little goobers, and I love them to death. Just obsessed with mining, driving too deep into the things of Khazad-dûm. No, I like dwarves. I identify as a dwarf in my regular life.
It's a tall one?
Just like a really tall dwarf.
You got the schnoz for it.
I do. I really do. And I love ale. And I've been known to mine. No, not really. No, I like dwarves. I like their little lore so very much.
What do you think about the dwarves so far as you understand in my world?
I mean, we had a little bit of back and forth on like where he could be from, where the mines are, because there's cores and then there's like another one, because the cores are military bases. No,
so core is Dwarven for Citadel. City.
Okay.
In Dwarven, they see it as city, but when translated to common, the response was, oh, Citadel, because it's more of a fortress meets a city kind of situation. Dwarves don't care, that's the translation. But the citadels are named after different materials. So there is the golden citadels, the golden cores. They're very much the wealthy cities. That's why they're called gold. I played around with the idea of there being coppers and silvers and just play off the currency. There definitely is at least one copper one, just not on this continent. And then there's the platinum core, which is nearby Deepport.
Port Deep.
Port Deep. What are my words?
Hey.
Port Deep.
It's only your world.
It's only my world. It's easy to forget what town people are from. Hey, I just made a whole world. Give me a break. In fact, the best way to track what town is what's in that town, what happened to that town is, you guessed it, World Anvil, the sponsor of this video. Go ahead and check out the link in the description below for 40% off an annual subscription. And let me tell you why World Anvil is amazing. And I'm going to keep it short so you can get back to the video. Basically, track all your information, timeline, location facts, NPC facts, let your players add notes into one location, and you basically built, you and your friends, your own world-building wiki. All right, remember, 40% off World Anvil, link in the description below, use promo code Fables. Have a great time watching the rest of this video. The Platinum core is nearby that, and so is, on the other side of Port Deep, the Iron Core. The Iron Core is military, Platinum core is the center metropolis, where all roads lead here, and thus platinum.
So, question for you now.
Yeah.
Are there roads underground between these
Yes.
cores? And are they like your typical dwarven roads where they are like carved but also raised? Kind of?
Yes.
Interesting. So then...
There's a whole pathway system going there. There are even caverns that are essentially dirt off-roads, you know? Just got to find the right analogy to fit it, but it's essentially the same mentality, but underground first.
So then what would possess a dwarf to leave dwarven society in Airedra?
In the Second Dawn,
Mm-hmm.
migration and blending of societies, dwarves are moving out, moving above ground, moving to different places
Mm-hmm.
because opportunity and prejudice change.
Mm-hmm.
In the First Dawn, oh, is it your classics?
Yeah.
But that's games like the Curse of Amity, where we, depending on your guys' choices, things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Great example, episode 1. We go to your backstory.
Crazy. Crazy. Am I allowed to talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll let you finish and then I'll talk about it.
We go to your backstory because your backstory said, oh, the town I'm from was raided. Okay. And you pick Port Deep.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, Port Deep gets raided. Got it. It didn't lock into my brain that town was like gone, because it was invisible information until I thought, oh, I'm going to start the session with your backstory. And that means it makes it real. And then when we sat down right before the cameras start rolling, Jordy is like picking the town that his character's from. And he's like, oh, Port Deep. But he's like 200 years younger than you.
Yeah.
So that means by him just making this out of nowhere choice, he just world builded.
Oh, yeah.
And just was like, the town recovered and people live there now.
Yeah.
And I was just, it was an experience I had by myself right there. And I was like, I can't wait to start rolling.
Yeah. And that was the thing too, because like you didn't tell me that we were gonna do that.
I thought about giving you a heads up.
Yeah.
So many times. And I was like, how do I ask for the most important thing I need to ask Chris is, hey, did you name the important people in your backstory?
And I forgot her name. Yeah. Brunhilde Lowborough.
Brunhilde.
Yes.
I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. that entire thing, like you being like, Chris, I want you to describe your character with the information that they're 150 years younger. I'm pretty sure if you go to the edit, you can see my face go, because in my brain, I'm like, the reason Halleck has the accent that he does is because he has spent this entire life running away from this day.
Yeah.
And running away from this event.
And that's 100 years.
And
so
I'm just
that's
like,
plenty of time for an accent to come out of.
Okay, where's my brain go? And like I was agonizing for like weeks over like, okay, I have to do a realistic accent of this person that like has been on the sea, and like I was.
He's also got red skin because of dwarves. Got red
skin. Yep.
That's something that we actually skipped over, the fact that dwarves in my world have red skin.
Yeah.
When I first thought about that, I was like, what are the problematic implications?
I can never cosplay.
You can. If someone can cosplay as a red tiefling.
That's true. That's very
true. You just need a big enough beard.
I just need...
And have a strong enough Scottish accent. And everyone's like, what are you?
I'm a dwarf. God, yeah. Yeah, why do they have red skin?
The iron oxide in their body is oversaturated from being underground for so long. Lore-wise, there's also stories of the first wars were people given to the mountain and the volcano queen to, as like not just sacrifice, but children that we can't take care of. And so the mountain took care of them. And that's not necessarily what might have actually happened, but that is what folklore tells.
Gotcha.
That the first dwarves may have been gifts to the mountain versus, like, I think Pathfinder's like, they're born from the minerals, who should actually be more red than mine.
Right, yeah.
But they are also related to the half giants, the Goliaths.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
That's a distant relative, but also half giants, Goliaths, are related directly to orcs.
Huh.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is the Age of Thunder.
The Age of Thunder?
Yeah.
And when did that come about? Do you have a lore document?
I have a timeline.
Okay.
I world build in time.
Interesting. So where do you start? The beginning of time?
I start with what game I am in.
Uh-huh.
And then what are my players?
Mm-hmm.
What races, species, or classes they are.
Mm-hmm.
I start there and I make an adventure. And then in my free time, I have to answer questions why things are the way they are. And then I just have to work my way backwards. And I was like, how far back is too far back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where's the beginning? And then I was like, okay, that's the beginning. And then I just like, I listened to other people's interpretations of, let's say, Forgotten Realms, Greyhawks, Lord of the Rings. I listened to all these different interpretations of their timelines. And I kind of just picked what was cool first.
Mm-hmm.
And then I flowed through it as like a story re-edit. And I found where the transitions, the peaks and the valleys of different wars and clashes happen. And then like literally the day before session 1, I was like, oh, the beginning isn't the beginning.
What? So I'll let you.
I'll bring up the timeline.
I'll let you look up your timeline, but I hope this is a simple question.
Yeah.
So you built Airedra just for us.
I built it for my home game originally.
Uh-huh.
So I started DMing because my friend Jarrett, who DMs Fables of Refuge,
Shout out to Jarrett.
he was DMing Refuge while DMing a home game all at once. So he was DMing like up to 8 times a month. And he was too proud to like communicate. He's getting stressed out.
Yeah.
And then, a couple of us had to like corner him in a friendly way and be like, no, dude, you need to take a break.
You need to corner him and tell him he's being stressed out.
And I was like, I can step up and be moved to DMing so you can be a player and just chill. And this was during lockdown.
Oh.
And so I got the starter kit for 5e and I started DMing. And I was like, I already started world building.
Timeout. You started DMing during the pandemic?
Yeah.
You're joking.
Over Zoom.
You're joking.
No, why?
No, literally Taco and I and like Allie and Jordy and I, we have a player chat. You're not supposed to know about that.
I saw. I'm so happy and proud of you guys.
Yeah.
I have not seen anything.
Yeah. I've said to Taco privately too that I was like, this is a style of DMing that like I absolutely adore, and like I've been curious and I'm gonna ask him in this interview how long he's doing it. It makes me really mad now.
Why?
Because you're good and you haven't been doing it for that long.
Oh, thank you.
Jesus. I'm over here sifting through Ed Greenwood's fucking trash.
I want to say Age of Thunder is about 5 or 6 ages before the Second Dawn. And the Age of Thunder is about 2 or 3 after the first. Mm-hmm. But the first one's also the longest because no one was tracking time back then.
Yeah.
It's the first era, which is common knowledge to anyone of your character's age. Sure. It's just the primordial age. Because there is no known primordial or elemental planes.
Okay. No known. So like they don't know if they exist.
They don't know they exist, but the Genasi have been around.
Yeah.
Since the beginning.
And like their pantheon, their faith is like
built into.
Yeah.
They keep the balance just like our soil balance is important. Our fire cycles, our water cycles, they are in charge of that. Our wind cycles around the planet, they're in charge of that. If they fall,
things are screwed.
Climate change.
Interesting.
And then I think the oldest city on the planet, his name is Luum or Lorem, something like that. It's the perfect soil between silt, clay, and sand. Mm-hmm. No, it's not your last name. Loam, that's what it is. Loam. It's the perfect soil because it can move water really well. It can grow anything really.
Yeah.
And It has to be tempered. So it's kind of the capital. All the elementals live there, as well as their own dedicated spots.
Mm-hmm.
But like this is where it comes to like politics for the Genasi, for the masses, it happens there.
That's bananas. So every Genasi is in a sense a druid then.
To a degree.
Crazy.
My brain is nuts.
Hey, I'm here for it. So you talked a lot about ages.
Hmm.
What constitutes an age for you, and why are we in the second?
A shift of the time.
Okay.
So the first dawn is marked as the first sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
Before then, there was no sun.
We're out here not rocking a sun? You're joking.
I think the first dawn was maybe a millennia,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 2, because the first dawn, the last elves faded away.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, the ages were very short.
Mm-hmm.
550 years. Very, very sporadic because it was constant different wars. And they counted the ages among the wars too. Before the wars, an age was like 6,000, sometimes 12,000 years because you have the elves are around.
Mm-hmm.
And they live forever. And you're not in a single lifetime will it be an age.
Yeah.
But later, after all these different wars, more short-lived characters start showing up. The dwarves, the half-elves, and eventually the humans, where the timeline is now shifting. And now humans and half-elves and dwarves are experiencing a completely different world. And I don't think people think about that, where it's like, you live, as a dwarf, you live close to 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's 4 at best.
Yeah.
Human lives. Best. Politically, no one could agree that, in 800 years, would a single age now change? Even though for humans, probably, like something dramatic has probably happened in the last 800 years.
Yeah.
But to dwarves, no. We've been rock solid.
The jokes are great.